Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Connect to Florida. Listen, you know that I was going to show up here. You know that I could not make a video on this whole 50-year mortgage proposal that is out there. Now, some of you may think that I think this is a real stupid idea, that this is all marketing, this is all gimmick. When you combine it with the whole thing about you don't have to have a specific credit score to buy a home FHA, you might say, I know that Barrett is coming on here and she is going to tell us this is the dumbest thing she's ever heard. Listen, hold on. Let's look at this another way, because here on Connect to Florida, we like to take a little step back, let it sink in a little bit, think through some scenarios. How can we make this work to our advantage? And we don't want to go jumping out there and knee-jerking and posting a bunch of ridiculous stuff on Facebook, especially if we are a real estate agent or a loan officer, and then it doesn't age well. So I'm going to give you my opinion. You may agree, you may not agree, but that's all good. We can hit it in the forum called the comments. Grab your coffee, let's go. All right, so what am I talking about? If you don't watch the news, you may not know that President Trump has kind of thrown a proposal out there, and you know how he likes to do that. Sometimes he'll just kind of lob out something, and he'll see how everybody responds to it, and then he'll decide if it was a good idea or a bad one. You know he does that. Love him or hate him, you know he does that. So he kind of threw out a little bit of a test market there. And it has been really, some people are going wild over it, saying it's the greatest idea ever. He's brilliant. Other people are saying this guy is a buffoon. What's he talking about? The interest on that same $400,000 house paid from 30 years to 50 years is going to take the house from, I'm making it up, $500,000 to $800,000. And all of that is true, but let's talk through this a little bit. So again, he is lobbing out there, if you were unaware, that there should be the availability of an offering of a 50-year mortgage. So there are 40-year mortgages out there right now. I don't know if anyone knew that, but there are. You can get them, but it's just so much more common to do a 30-year, and then some people do a 15-year, which I'm against, unless there's a really good interest rate incentive to do that. Because why? Because you can do let's say you do a 30-year mortgage. I'm going to just say this really quickly, because I know that somebody, you know what they're doing. If you have a 30-year mortgage at, I'm going to make it up, 5% interest at the 30-year mortgage, or you can do the 15-year mortgage at 4.875. I would do the 30-year mortgage because you can always prepay that mortgage and dig in more than you can with that little percentage difference. Plus, if you have any problems, you know, things happen. I'm sure nobody thought about COVID when they had a good job. They never thought that would happen. So if you lock yourself into a 50-year mortgage and you have a problem and you want that lower payment at 30 years, you won't be able to do that. So some people utilize it where they'll make an extra principal payment every single month, except they don't do it maybe in November and December when they're heavy on Christmas presents and things like that. So it just gives you a little bit more flexibility. So that's why, unless there's a big divide, I wouldn't say to do that. So having said that, how do I feel about the 50-year mortgage proposal? Listen, I'm going to give it an A for creativity, that is for sure. But as I said, in thinking through it, here are the advantages to it. Some of these may apply to you, some of them may not. But if you're a first-time buyer trying to get into the home market, rentals are really high in the area where you live, and you really want to buy your first home, you want something that's got some sweat equity built into it, you don't mind a little carpet and paint, this could be a really good opportunity for you, because if you were not qualifying, let's say the entry level on a home in your area, $300,000, and you only qualify for a home to $250,000, and really that difference there is causing you to not be able to buy anything at all. You've saved a down payment, you have money saved to do your carpet and paint, but you just don't qualify. You don't make enough. Or maybe you are a waitress, or you're self-employed in some kind of way. Maybe you're a hairdresser. There can be any newer business that's doing well, but you're not showing enough on tax returns. There's a lot of things that can happen that cause that lower qualification sort of pain point. So if we stretch out the mortgage to 50 years, then your qualification is going to become a little bit easier. Slightly lower payment would be another reason. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I'm saying slightly lower, I am not kidding. If you run an amortization schedule, you are talking about, again, we'll say that same $400,000 house, let's just use today's interest rates at around 6.25%. You really are talking about maybe $200 difference. Maybe it's somewhere, depending again on numbers, usually somewhere between $175 and $200. So it's not an enormous amount of money, but for some people, it's an enormous amount of money. You just have to know you have to know your finances. As inflation goes up, and it does, everything is cyclical. Real estate is cyclical. The world we live in, prices go up and prices go down, and they don't stay up forever and they don't stay down forever. But people that are hanging on for the high highs again, for example, sellers in Naples, or people that are looking for the low lows again, for example, people that are looking for a 3% interest rate, those things, you could just swipe those off the top and the bottom. That isn't going to happen. But here's the thing. As inflation goes up, as prices of eggs go up, as gas goes up, and maybe doesn't stay up forever, but you might have a quarter of your life. So let's say your January, February, and March is horrible because it happens to be in a time frame where prices floated up, whether that be, rumors of war or what, I don't know, whatever it is, healthcare issues, prices will go up. When you're older, maybe you have more co-pays, things along these lines. Your payment on that mortgage will be fixed. All right, now let's talk about how it could work for you. Second home buyer, condo second home buyer. Maybe you're the person that is going to sell your home in Michigan and you are ready to move to Florida. Any part of coastal resorty Florida, it's been your dream your whole life. And you're thinking, should we take advantage of this 50-year mortgage thing? If this comes to fruition, would this be a good idea for us? And your friends, your loan officer friends, and your Facebook friends dancing to TikTok, they're telling you how dumb it will be for you to do this because you're going to pay so much more interest. All right, so let's talk through this for a minute. You are Marge and Earl Smith, and you've lived in Michigan your entire life, and you always wanted to move to Naples, Florida. So you have sold your home. You've got a little nest egg to work with.
I know we need a loan. What about that 50-year thing?
And you're talking through that because you know that can save you a couple $100, and you like that breathing room a little bit. You and your wife are 75 and 78 years old. Now, here's the thing, and this is the most important thing. Hear me loudly. If the 50-year mortgage is higher in interest rate than the 30-year, no, don't do that. Don't do that. So if you're not doing yourself any good, that bump in interest rate is going to eat up that divide of $200. So that is the most important thing. It really depends what those rate numbers look like. So let's just play out a scenario, and let's say that the 30-year fixed is at 5% and the 50-year fixed is at 5.1%. Okay, fine. We can do this. So you calculate the numbers and it looks good. All your friends tell you how stupid you are because you took out a 50-year mortgage. Let me ask you a question. Are you going to live to 125? Do you think you might live to 125? Because I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm going to live to 125. 10 good years, as I like to say. Maybe more than that. If I get really lucky and blessed, I might get into my 90s. So in any world, am I going to pay off that massively high interest rate? Am I ever going to see that to fruition? Absolutely not. And let's talk about this as well. Are you going to see that to fruition? So let's say you are 68 years old, you're 58 years old, and you want to move to Florida, you're ready to go, and you have that same thought process of, that little bit of extra money, it would just give me a little bit of breathing room. Joe and Mary Camerado from Boston, they want to move to Estero. They've been coming down and visiting a long time, and they're wondering if the timing is right. So let me tell you these things. There has never been more homes on the market than right now. There are a lot of people that will give you a good deal. As I always say, if you are massively picky, you're going to have trouble finding that good deal. But if you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a beautiful lanai and a big heated pool with a lake view, and you can spend up to, I don't know, I'm making it up, $650,000, we're going to find it 50 times over. So the good deals are out there when there's an abundance of homes on the market, when there are buyers that are hesitant, you have less competition, when there are some motivated sellers, you can stand to get a much better deal. So you decide that, you know what, the purchase price is the most important thing. I'm going to give this 50-year mortgage a try, even though everybody's telling me I'm crazy, because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and lock in my purchase right now and start living the dream at $625,000, and I know those prices are gonna slowly walk back up unless something crazy happens again like COVID, but they will slowly walk back up. It chases you down in Southwest Florida. Also, we all know they are doing their best to get the interest rates down. So let's say in 3 years, you've gained 3% in just natural equity in the house that you've purchased, but the interest rates are down. Let's say the interest rates are down by 1.25. What are you going to do? You're going to refi. Nobody is paying off a 50-year mortgage. It is a dumb conversation to have. I am seeing real estate agents and loan officers screaming it up on Facebook and Instagram and on the TikTok saying that this is really a stupid idea. And to me, out of every stupid idea is usually a loophole in there that a smart person, especially my viewers here on Connect to Florida, will find an advantage. And I would say that there's definitely advantages in this 50-year mortgage proposal.